things. Well, welcome all. Welcome to the First UU Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. For our summer programming, if you are a child or a youth, or you want to head to our circus programming, our religious exploration classes are all outside today. If you are joining us online, we do ask that you mute your microphones until coffee hour starts. And for everyone, online and in person, go ahead and rise in body, voice, or spirit, and join me in singing our opening hymn. It's number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. And words will be in your gray hymnal. And if you're online, they'll appear in the chat bar.
Committee and also a RE volunteer. On behalf of the entire congregation, I welcome you here this morning, whether in person, on Zoom, or via YouTube. If you are here for the first time, please fill out a blue visitor's card. You can find one in your gray hymnal or in the entryway. This will help us make sure you receive information about our church's programs and services. If you're joining us online, send an email to office@firstu-indianapa.org to become connected to our newsletter. On Zoom, please note the chat button below the video screen and use that feature for our greetings, chalice lighting, and for joys and concerns during the service. The First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, PA is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We are self-governing congregations united in a web of mutuality that creates our denomination. We have no creed or doctrine, teaching that all individuals have the right and responsibility to discern and follow their own spiritual paths. We come together to support and assist each other on our journeys and to build our beloved community together. I invite you to stay after the service to greet one another and rejoice in our mutual presence. We will open up the microphones on Zoom for coffee hour, and folks here in person are welcome to greet those joining us electronically at that time as well.
And we have a couple of special announcements today. The first one that I know many of you will find the most important is that there is a farewell rodeo after the service. So there will be food and joyous celebration. And I really hope that you all will put on your dancing boots and join us for that. We have just a couple other announcements. There is a protest scheduled on Monday, June 6th, to speak out about ongoing racism in the Indiana area school district. And Eric Barker and many others in the community would like to invite you to be a part of that, spreading awareness and demanding change in schools. Protest starts at 11 a.m. in IRMC Park, and then there will be a march down Philadelphia Street holding signage, turning left onto 5th Street toward the senior high. And a short program with music will conclude the event in the senior high parking lot at about 5 p.m. So if you can make it to any part of that, either at 11 or at 5, you are very welcome. Come by in between as well. And we have just a couple of business announcements from your Board of Trustees. President Nana Randall.
Howdy. The first announcement is very important. Next Sunday, June 12th, we will have a special congregational meeting to discuss the prospects of full-time ministry and the future of the Bonnet property. You may access this on Zoom from anywhere. We will have it up and running here at the church, so you could, view it and participate in here. Or if you want more social distance, we'll have it up in Grower Hall. There will be a mic set up so that people who want to speak as part of the meeting have that opportunity to be heard. The reason for the Zoom platform is that several of us on the board will be on vacation, and we need somebody to run this meeting remotely. So we're making use of our Zoom platform. What was the other thing?
GA delegate.
Ah, yes. We still have room for one more lay person to serve as a delegate at General Assembly. There is a free option for participating in the business meetings only and not the workshops, where you may, be registered for that and vote on business and not have the expense of the workshops. But of course, if you want to spend, you have the option to sign up for the workshops. Please let us know on board@firstuu-indianapa.org, or just walk up and talk to one of our board members and let us know if you have an interest in being our other lay delegate to join Don Lancaster in that role. So I hope y'all will check out the party afterward. I'm going to have to go. Yeehaw! I'm going to have to go work on some vittles.
We'll see you after the service. Thank you. All right. So now that you're all thinking about your vittles, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath and just settle yourself into a spirit of worship. Our opening words come from Marge Piercy. The first lily of June opens its red mouth all over the sand road where we walk. Multiflora rose climbs trees cascading white or pink blossoms. Simple, intense, the scene drifting like colored mist. The arrowhead is spreading its creamy clumps of flower, and the blackberries are blooming in the thickets. Season of joy for the bee. The green will never again be so green, so purely and lushly new. Grass lifting its wheaty seed heads into the wind. Rich, fresh wine of June, we stagger into you smeared with pollen, overcome as the turtle laying her eggs in roadside sand.
Now let us light our chalice flame. On Zoom, you may type "The flame is lit" and say where you're joining us from in the chat bar. Within the heart of the flower, the fountain of beauty. Within the heart of community, a fire that warms and dances. Within the heart of each of us, a spark of the spirit of life. Holy, holy, holy.
And at this time, we invite you to hear these words by Norbert Čapek, creator of the first flower ceremonies, as our flowers are brought forward, and we will greet the flowers and one another in song after this reading. With hymn 1007, There's a River Flowin' in My Soul. If you are able to help bring flowers forward during the song, I invite you to do so. If you have flowers you have brought that you would like to add to our bouquets on the table, I invite you to do that as well. But first, these words by Norbert Čapek. It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. Oh, blow ye evil winds into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel. Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight, and everything would worthless seem, I have lived amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul, my life was worth living. He who was pressed from all sides but remained victorious in spirit is welcomed into the choir of heroes. He who overcame the fetters, giving wing to the mind, is entering into the golden age of the victorious. So I invite you at this time To open your teal hymnals to number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul, and or to bring forward your flowers as we sing.
Seen recently.
welcome back with us. Thank you. Yeah. And feel very welcome to continue the conversations you may have begun during this time after the worship service. We now move to our UU moment. So, a few weeks ago, many of you know because we had a marvelously large contingent there. There was a reproductive rights rally, and I wore my clergy collar. And so one of those conversations happened. One of those conversations that happens when you wear a clergy collar where first the person looks at you real hard, and then they look away because maybe you might think they want you to evangelize if they look at you for too long. And they kind of scoot one way, and then the other. And then they look back, wondering, considering. See, I was also wearing a t-shirt that said, "Faithfully pro-choice," in purple. So maybe, this person thought, maybe this one is safe. I understand it. It's rare in a small town in rural America. If you're, let's just say this person might have been nerdy, maybe kind of visibly queer. It's hard to get through your teen years around here without ending up having at least a few conversations with people who want to let you know how much God would love you if only you would stop being quite so you all the time. And so the collar is a fraught symbol. But eventually, he approached. He said, "What church are you with?" I said, I'm with the Unitarian Universalists, down the road on Tulik. And he went, "Oh, yeah. My boyfriend keeps saying we should try your church." I went, "That would be delightful. You're welcome anytime." And so is he. And my smile was warm, and his eyes shifted, and his own smile began to bloom, because he'd said the words, "my boyfriend," and "church" together. And nobody said anything but that we'd be delighted. We didn't have to say much more than that. Though I did, of course, tell him that there's a D&D group if he'd like to come and join that, and we have dance church on Wednesdays for the wiggly folks among us. But whether or not he shows up ever within the walls of this space, there's one more person in the community knowing that he can be both gay and religious. And there's at least one church here where he's both welcome and wanted. And this is the magic of telling people about this faith. Because every time we say yes, there's one more person who knows in this world that they can be both religious and themselves. And so now I'd like to invite you to read our UU principles together with me. They're in your order of service. They'll be on screen. You can find them in your gray hymnal, wherever you would like. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience, and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part.
Our centering words this morning are from Psalm 23, For This Moment, by Kevin Tarsa. May I remember in this tender moment that love is my guide always, shepherding me toward ways of openness and compassion. I have what I need, really, with love at my side, above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, inside every cell of me, love infused everywhere. Just when the weight of the world I inhabit threatens to drop me in place and press my hope down into the ground beneath me, love invites me to rest for a gentle while and leads the center of my soul to the quiet, still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I had not noticed. And so love, quietly, sets me once again on its tender and demanding path. Even when the walls close around me and the cries of death echo through untold corners, gripping my heart with fear and sadness, I know that all will be well, that I will be well. When love whispers near to me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests with gentle and persistent invitation upon my shoulders, yes, love blesses me, even as the sources and symbols of my pain look on. Love blesses me from its infinite well, and I turn and notice that goodness and kindness and grace follow me everywhere, everywhere I go. I live in a house of love, love that will not let me go. I live in a house of love and always will. During our centering music, if you have joys or sorrows you would like spoken aloud, please write them in the chat online or on a note card and place it in the basket in the sanctuary to be woven into our shared pastoral prayer. we offer a time of silence during which you are invited to come forward to light a candle of intention to represent a joy, sorrow, concern, or celebration in your life. If you have not already done so, you may hand your written joy or sorrow card to Reverend Elizabeth as you light your candle.
So now, may we join hearts and minds together in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and of love, be with us as we gather together to share in community the milestones of our living. For many things which are joyful, let us hold them in common and offer our gratitude. This is a first visit back in person since COVID, which feels a bit overwhelming but also quite wonderful. And Jan shares a joy of being first time in person ever, I believe, at the First UU Church of Indiana, but attending online services and living near Yatesboro for about 2 years now. Looking, oop. And the joy that you are okay. That was a little crash. I appreciate that. So, from Jan, a hope looking for a new spiritual home, as the UU Church of the North Hills is a little too far now. And a joy from Patty, who is grateful for the tech to join online from IRMC. And Miss Patty, we are grateful that you are here with us. Gratitude for the love of family and friends, for joys and sorrows, each a part of a vital life, each given reason to live and share. Martha Dolly offers gratitude online as well. And Faye Bradwick offers the mixed blessing of gladness that there are people to peacefully protest racism issues, especially at the high school, and sadness that there is still a need for such things. And we, of course, offer continued prayers, healing energy, and white light to Patty Holmes in the hospital. And a joy, because Jacob received a good sportsmanship award in 3-on-3 basketball. And that's pretty fabulous. So for all of those things that are a blessing in our lives, for new faces and familiar ones joining us once again, for all those who have made it a point to be here amid the turbulence of the times, and for all the beauty of the earth and the ever-changing seasons, may we give thanks. In times of fragile hearts, when sorrows are tender, may we find comfort and strength here. May our hearts be healed, and may we be filled with peace. Amen, and blessed be.
At the First UU Church of Indiana, we share the plate by giving a portion of every week's donations to an organization outside the church. This is part of our congregation's mission to promote compassionate and responsible thought and action in the world by giving back to the community around us every week. So when you give this morning, know that you are making an impact, not only for this congregation, but also in the wider community through our shared giving. Our congregational giving this month benefits Sisters Pittsburgh. Sisters Pittsburgh is a Black and trans-led nonprofit organization that serves queer, trans, Black, Indigenous, people of color, and non-binary people within southwestern PA. They offer services for trans and gender non-conforming people, which include transitional housing, a drop-in community space, groups for trans and gender non-conforming youth and adults, assistance with legal name and gender changes, and more. This donation is not only a way to live into our values, but also a part of our commitment to living the welcoming congregation, a renewal of our congregation's awareness of trans, queer, and gay inclusion, and celebration of healthy sexuality and expansive gender identity.
Is gratefully and gladly received for the work of this congregation and the community beyond our walls. So, it's Pride Month, and it's Flower Ceremony Sunday, And we're also having a rodeo themed party. And just in case that wasn't enough of a variation in theme for one Sunday, it's also Pentecost. So, that's a lot to get through in one worship service. But I think we'll make it, because we are nothing if not meaning makers and dreamers. So, many of you might know from previous flower ceremonies that this is a ritual that was invented in Czechoslovakia before World War II by Norbert Čapek. Norbert Čapek was the founder of the Czechoslovakian Unitarian Church, and he wanted to move explicitly beyond the Calvinist devotion to a plain and simple people and a plain and simple white church with walls undecorated to leave only space for contemplation. Čapek felt more connected to nature and beauty and the inherent goodness of humanity. And so, wanting his congregation to name and know themselves as part of the beauty of the world and of nature, one Sunday, he brought them flowers. And then, the next year, they brought each other flowers. Not just roses, but a vast assortment of wildflowers and hothouse flowers of so many kinds, representing all the ways that they were different, beautifully and uniquely created, and all part of a bouquet of greater beauty than the sum of its parts. And so it was. And of course, nearly 2,000 years before that, from the book of Acts, we hear, when the day of Pentecost came, they were all in one place, and a sound like the blowing of a giant, violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. And all of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit enabled them. Now, there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this sound, a crowd came together in bewilderment, because each one heard their own language being spoken. Utterly amazed, they asked, "Aren't all these who are speaking Galileans? Then how is it that each of us hears them in our native language?" Because diverse people need diverse messages. Just like the blooms in a mixed bouquet need different growing conditions, different amounts of sunlight, different amounts of water to be their best, each planted in the soil that best supports their growth. And somewhere in between, as I was reading of the tulip market crash of the 17th century, I learned a fascinating tidbit about flower bouquets in the paintings of the time. Jan Bruegel the Elder was considered the preeminent Flemish painter of flowers for several decades in the 1600s. His pieces still are in museums all over the world. He painted painstakingly, even scientifically precise flowers with insects and bugs and a dewy luster to the petals, perfectly true to life in vast bouquets. Perfectly true to life in every way, except that, as Wikipedia notes, his bouquets were typically composed of flowers blooming in different seasons of the year, so they could never have been painted together directly from nature. Bruegel was in the habit of traveling to make drawings of flowers that were not even available in Antwerp, so that he could paint them into his bouquets. One interpretation of this is that his arrangements were not real because they couldn't have existed in time and space together at that time, all blooming at once. But another is that, like a human community, each and every one of us blooms at different times, comes into our own through different activities, hears our spirit best reflected in different language, and yet we celebrate together, and we notice the best of ourselves, the moment of full bloom. And from this, we find that spark where we love each other into being. That we recall, like the flowers which do not bloom together, how we have been and will again become beautiful, and how we create in the fullness of time that blossoming, delightful whole together. Just like a whole rainbow of human diversity, just like all of the people here and beyond this room, with different pronouns, different ways of loving each other, with perhaps tongues of flame and the fire of the Holy Spirit sometimes, that all are beautiful and worthy in this community of faith. This weekend, whether there are things new blooming in your life, whether you're celebrating perhaps a graduation or some other new and exciting adventure, whether you're mourning a loss or wondering what comes next after this year of school comes to a close, this community has and will see you at your best and keep you in our bouquet, in our hearts, as a blessing. We each bring our gifts. We each, I hope, take something from this place in a language we can hold and understand. And so, at this time, this is the time in our service where we invite you to come forward and take a flower or two that reminds you of our gathered community and the gifts we bring and the gifts of spirit which we take from this place. However, we have a party right after this, and I suspect that a lot of you are not going to keep track of your flowers if you take them right now. So we're gonna modify this year, and I'm gonna ask that if you raise your hands or place them in an attitude of blessing that works for you, let's bless these flowers with all the fabulousness of the Pride season. Let's bless these flowers with all the rainbow blessings of everyone who has persevered beyond intolerance to become yourself. Let us bless these flowers and make them a part of our being, a reflection of our fabulous selves. And let them hold all of that through this afternoon, and do take a few with you as you leave this place, as this party winds down this evening. So let us bless and be blessed, and return to the world offering blessing. Thank you all. So if you are here in all your fabulousness, whether gay, lesbian, bisexual, straight, transgender, queer, asexual, intersex, questioning, pansexual, aromantic, gender fluid, non-binary, agender, two-spirit, cisgender, something I haven't named or which is beyond naming itself, you are welcome. You are loved. If you are here because you love someone whose sexuality or gender moves beyond assumptions and assignments made in their earliest years, may we support you in holding that love. If you are cis and straight and here because you know it is worthwhile to fight for ideals, just like Norbert Čapek first wrote, if you are here to answer the call of love and be guided by it, may love go with you from this place, in this spirit of flowers, and may you bloom and be wreathed in holy fire all the days of your lives.
Our closing words are Rainbow Blessing by Cricket Hall. May the drag stage rise to meet you. May the world rise to accept and embrace you. May the rainbow of love enfold you. May your fluidity never be hindered. May your pronouns always be supported and your dead name forgotten. May those you invite into your life remain loyal. May your chosen family lift you up and catch you when you need it. May you be able to catch others when they need it. May you remember sensitivity is not weakness, but instead a great strength welling up inside you. And until we meet again, may you remember that you are loved and you are divine.
And our closing hymn is number 1014, Answering the Call of Love, or in some of your hymnals it's still going to say Standing on the Side of Love. We have increased our welcome by being inclusive of those who cannot or do not stand. And so you are welcome to sing the words either way. I invite you to rise if you would like.
invite you to join me in saying together our words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish our chalice flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
If you came here hoping for greater love, may love go with you. If you are here seeking deeper peace, may peace surround you and flow into you. If you are here to gather courage, may it live like a fierce flame in your soul. And may all who come here go out better than you were, secure in the blessings of love. Blessed be. And feast day.
Eric, can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, Eric. Eric, can you hear me? Eric? Unmute if you can.
You're on. I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Eric, can you guys hear me? Eric?